So yeah, as you take a moment to find a seat, you might choose to perch yourself on a block, a pillow, a bolster, or just be content on the earth. And we're going to start with our lovely breath. And so you're invited here to let your eyes soften and the breath to deepen, and just take a moment to pause. We are often rushing from one thing to the next, and it's important to drop into stillness as well. See if you can notice and just observe the sensations of your breath. And perhaps encourage your exhales to be slightly longer than your breaths in for these next few cycles. And that might mean breathing in for 4, 5, 6 counts. And then maybe breathing out for 6, 7, or even 8 counts. No need to get caught up in the numbers, but just notice if you can lengthen the breaths out to be a little bit longer than the breaths in. And go ahead with 3 more full belly breaths, perhaps feeling the breath expand into the ribs and upper chest. And taking one more cycle, no rush. And as you finish your breath out, draw the chin down toward the chest and pause here with the head a little heavy, feeling that space on the back side of your neck. And adding our half neck circles nice and slow to begin. And maybe making those movements into full circles, lifting the chin. And being mindful not to let the head drop back as you look up, but think about lifting through the chin to keep that length on all sides of your neck. And rotating the opposite way as well. We're going to take a few breaths with the ear to your left and right hand by your side. And you might just add some small movements at your fingers and wrists to begin. Some rotation is also welcome. Maybe spinning the upper arm bone as you reach through the fingertips. And you can keep playing with that. You might also add movement with your head, rotating, lifting, lowering. And option here to send the opposite arm to the sky. You're going to bend at your elbow and just let the forearm rest on the top of the head. So we're just adding a little bit of weight here to encourage that extra stretch on the side of the neck, but without pulling the head down. And we're still taking those deep breaths, lifting all the way through the chest while letting the shoulders melt down the back. One more moment as you are. And then we're going to gently release, hands to the lap, and take a moment just to observe one side and the other. And then we'll rock the ear the opposite way and float the other hand. And you can begin with those movements at the wrist, fingers, playing with some rotation. And maybe movement of your head too. Continuing to breathe full and deep. And And you can choose if the other arm wants to sweep up to the sky and start to bend at your elbow. You're going to gently rest the forearm as if you're grabbing or reaching for the opposite ear. With those deep breaths in, let the chest lift, spine lengthen. And on the exhales, shoulders relax. Maybe one more breath on this side. And then we're going to release hands to the lap. Go ahead and lower the chin to the chest for a moment and take that pause, feeling that space at the back of the neck. As you breathe in, we're going to look all the way up. And then exhale, draw the chin back to your chest. One more like that. As you breathe in, gaze up. And exhale, chin to chest. Go ahead and look forward and reach both arms up to the sky, actively lengthening the sides of the body. Get real tall here, and then we're going to tilt over to one side. You might press down with the bottom hand to expand the side body that you're leaning away from. And keep the sitting bones grounding into the earth, and perhaps add some arm circles here. I like to reach the arm up and back. Bring the palm to the sky at the very top, and then flip the palm back down as you reach all the way across. And it can be helpful to match the breath here. Inhale as you reach up and back. And exhale as you sweep across. Yeah, a couple more of those. And as always, you have the option to continue circling. You can also just reach the arm in a horizontal line and then start to relax through the head and neck. You might find looking down at the ground feels good here. Tucking the chin toward the bottom shoulder. Or the opposite, lifting the chin away from the hand that's floating and rotating the gaze slightly upwards. And with a breath in, let's rock through to the opposite side, pausing and breathing. An option for your arm circles, reaching up and back, broadening the upper chest before sweeping all the way across. Yeah, nice, full breath. Couple more on this side. And perhaps you choose to keep going with your circles or just reach the arm out away from the body while relaxing the head, doing your best to create even more space on the side of the neck. And you can choose where you want to look here, slightly down or tilting up. And with a breath in, let's rock to the opposite side and just keep going side to side, working that lateral movement in your spine. And you're welcome to move slow here with your breath. Do one more each way. Final round. And as you make your way back to center, you have the option to keep your legs as they are for a twist. You might choose to sweep both legs over to one side, and you can do this perched on a block or on a bolster if that feels better on the hips. Wherever you're at, you're going to reach the arms up. And if you're sitting like I am, you're going to turn toward the front thigh, away from the feet. Front hand might come toward the outer thigh you're turning toward. And think of yourself kind of spiraling upwards here. So you might press into the inside of the back shin, find even more lift through the chest and top of the head, and maybe start to peek over the back shoulder. Couple of those nice expansive breaths. And then when you're ready to switch sides, option here to bring the hands behind your hips. And with the feet wide, you can swish your knees side to side for a moment, and we'll eventually land the other way. And if you need to reorient yourself, that's great too. So maybe one more time, rocking the knees side to side. And then go ahead and land the opposite direction, and I'll spin here. We got both feet the other way. When you're ready, arms can reach up, lengthening the body. And then exhale, turn away from the feet, maybe front arm toward the outer thigh or turning toward. And again, you can think of this as kind of like an upward spiral. So starting at your base, spiraling up toward the sky, encouraging that rotation by pressing down on the inside of the back leg while lifting through the chest and all the way through the top of your head. And just a couple more breaths. And then same option here. As you're ready to unravel, hands can come behind the hips, feet can stay wide, and you can rock your knees side to side. And they don't have to go fully down to the ground. Any range that feels good in your body is great. Maybe one more time. And then you're eventually going to roll and land on all fours. So meet me on hands and knees. And take a second to set up here with your fingers wide, hands under your shoulders, knees under your hips. And you can just start with some easeful movement. That might mean circling your hips a few times. You can choose the pace and the size of your circles, or if you want to pause around the edges of your circles, maybe half circles. Anything goes here, just noticing what your body is feeling. You might tuck those toes and rock your hips farther back, perhaps side to side. Launching forward is also an option here, as well as back. A few more breaths to do your thing. And then we're going to pause the shoulders over the wrists and get into the wrists for a moment. So thumbs might turn to the top side of your mat, fingers out wide. You can start to rock your weight from one hand to the other. And maybe notice how it feels to let the chest lower down to the mat. Head and neck can also be relaxed. Notice your shoulder blades sliding closer together here. And you can also play with drawing circles with the shoulder heads around the bottom of the wrists. And again, up to you how large these circles are. If you are circling, even it out by going the other way as well. And feel free to keep going with any of those movements or take a pause and then perhaps rotate the thumbs to the outside edges of the mat or however far they want to go. Fingers might start to point in the direction of your knees. This feels like too much. You can release or do one by one. And if you're looking for more intensity, hands press down as the thumb shifts back. Adding cow in your spine is another layer you can add here. Couple of breaths. Go ahead and finish that next breath out. And then let's release the hands, maybe shake out the wrists before doing one more wrist exercise. And this one, you can do one hand at a time here. You palm up, back of the wrist is pressing all the way down. Your arm might be a little more bent or straight, whatever feels good here. And you could play with spreading the fingers and curling them in toward the palm. And then let's shake that out and take it to the other side. So again, palm facing up. Fingers are either pointing toward the knees or the other hand. And maybe add those movements of the fingers. Let's undo that. Find your way to high knees. And if you do have a block here, you want to sit on your block, you're welcome to. Another option is to tuck your toes, lower the hips to the heels. We'll be here for a few breaths. So if you need to come out of it, that's cool. Hands are going to interlace. You're going to press the palms away from you, pull the belly in toward you, tuck the chin. Notice how much you can really spread the skin between the shoulder blades at the upper back. And as you inhale, we're going to reach the arms up high. You can come high onto the knees, maybe untuck the toes. It might be helpful to widen the base slightly. Take another breath in. Reach the arms high. And on the exhale, cactus the arms, open your chest. Pause here. Notice if your front ribs are splaying apart. See if you can kind of engage those upper abdominals, but still squeeze your shoulder blades in toward one another. This time we're going to press the forearms together. Palms are going to turn to face your face. So glue your elbows and wrists to touch. Keep squeezing the arms together. And then notice how it feels to lift the elbows maybe higher than the shoulders and fingers away from the face. Take another breath. Keep squeezing those arms together. And this time, open the elbows wide. So again, we're squeezing shoulder blades together, sliding the shoulder blades down the back away from the ears. Take another pause here. Feel those back muscles active. And then we're going to press the forearms together. Palms will turn to face your face. Keep squeezing from the elbows to the wrists. Maybe start to lift the forearms slightly higher. Keep squeezing the arms. Feel those muscles active. And then last one, open the elbows wide. Slide the shoulder blades down the back. Take another breath. Next inhale, reach the arms up. And then make your way back to hands and knees. We're going to step the left leg to the back of the mat, toes on your ground, on the mat. Let's press through the heel and then wake up the toes in the back of the leg. And we'll play with a little balance here. So if you're feeling it, you're going to float that leg, add some movement at the ankle to begin. Find your nice solid ground here. So press into the hands, lift the center of the chest, flex those back toes down toward the ground, and then maybe start to walk the right fingertips out in front of you to the right corner of your mat, or even lift the arm in line with your spine, thumb pointing to the sky. Do your best to really reach fingers and toes in the opposite directions. And on the exhale here, just an option. Slowly move and draw elbow to knee underneath you. They don't have to touch. Inhale, reach it long back to where you started, that T shape. Exhale, option to round and maybe tap elbow to knee. Couple more of those. Inhale, reach. Exhale, curl. Moving slow is hard. Inhale one more time. Exhale, round it out. This time you're just going to reach it long, and then we're going to lower the hand and take the floating leg and cross over to the opposite side of the mat. So you're going to peek over your shoulder toward that back foot. Keep pressing your hands down. Notice if you can use your breath to really open all the sides of the body, expanding those intercostal muscles between your ribs. Couple of breaths. And then we're coming back to our hands and knees. Maybe wag the tail, shake it off. Let's press the opposite leg to the back, toes on the ground, driving through your heel. Maybe waking up the muscles in the feet with some forward and back motion. And then we're going to lift that leg if you're feeling up for it. Add some movement at the foot. Pointing, flexing, rotating, and then keep those leg muscles active by flexing the toes down as if you're stomping your heel on the wall behind you. Find that nice solid foundation by pressing the earth away from you, and then maybe the opposite hand starts to float. You might just lighten the load, or maybe the arm lifts in line with the body. Fingers and toes reaching apart. Noticing if you're holding the breath, make sure to breathe. And then perhaps you start to slowly move elbow to knee underneath you, rounding the back. Keep it going with your breath. Inhale as you lengthen and exhale as you curl. Couple more. And the slower you go, the harder it is, but perhaps challenge yourself here one more time. This time you're just going to inhale and lengthen. We're going to bring the hand down to the ground, take the floating leg all the way across the opposite edge of your mat. Go ahead and look over the other shoulder in the direction of that back foot. Keep pressing your hands down and use your breath to open all sides of the body here. Slow and steady breath through the nose if you can. And then rewinding back to center. We're going to find child's pose or embryo pose. So your call here, knees together for embryo pose, hands by your sides. You need to sandwich kind of a block between your hips and your heels or have a block under the forehead. That's great. Otherwise, arms are heavy. Front of the shoulders are melting toward the mat. Maybe the forehead touches and you're adding a little rocking from side to side. Could also add a little movement in your hips. An embryo pose can be a nice low back release, a way to just reset and recalibrate. Perhaps you stay here, but if you'd prefer extended child's pose, knees are going to widen, big toes will stay touching, and arms are going to extend to the top of the mat and either rest softly on the earth or perhaps are a little more active, walking the fingertips away from you, perhaps enough so that the elbows float off your mat. And as you exhale, maybe dig your palms, your claws into the ground and feel as though you're energetically pulling the hands closer to you without moving. Couple breaths, option for that length on the inhale through the fingers and pressing the hands down with your exhale. One more complete breath. And if you're not already, perhaps join us in extended child's pose and then turn the palms up toward the sky. Press your forearms down into the ground and do your best to really reach the fingertips actively away from the body, keeping the arms where they're at, press down through the forearms and feel like energetically you're trying to slide the elbows closer to your knees, but we're not going to move. Arms stay straight. A couple of those lovely deep breaths. Now we're going to keep that left palm facing up. Right fingertips can come back to the ground. You're going to slide those fingers closer to the right knee and then use the right fingers to press down and turn your chest away from the earth. So this is kind of like a thread the needle, twist, child pose combo. You're going to get heavy on that bottom forearm, still reaching the fingertips away from you. And your head might be resting on that bottom bicep. You can support it with a block, or it's just going to float in line with the spine. Couple breaths. Next breath in, we're going to reset. Both arms reach out long to the top of the mat. And then go ahead and keep that right palm facing up and slide the left fingertips in toward the left knee. Use the left hand to press down and turn your chest away from the ground. So we're getting heavy on that bottom forearm, simultaneously reaching through the fingertips and feeling as though you're trying to pull the elbow in toward the body. Long breath, lengthening from head to tail. And with an inhale, reach both arms out long. You can choose palms face up or ground down. You might choose to bend your elbows and bring your fingertips to touch, maybe the palms. And elbows can bend here as the thumbs shift to the back side of your neck. You can play around with shifting your weight from one arm to the other. Maybe press down through both arms and spread the skin between your shoulder blades up toward the sky. Notice if you can relax your head as you breathe fully. And then make your way back to hands and knees. And with the hands on the ground, let's adjust the knees under the hips. And here's where, if you have a block, you might find it handy. So you can grab a block and place it underneath your left hand, slightly in front of the left shoulder. So rather than underneath, you give yourself some space. We're gonna straighten the opposite leg, the right leg, and then spin on the knee that you're kneeling on. So that foot becomes a kickstand behind you. We're coming into a side plank variation. The heel of the straight leg comes down and you're pushing the earth away. Top arm can reach up by your ear here. And notice if you can really expand that whole top side body. You can press the front of the hips in the direction that you're facing. And you can do this on the ground without a block, but you might find the earth a little closer helpful here. You're welcome to stay here. Another option is to use your abdominals and then slowly rock back up to a half kneeling position, reaching the bottom arm to the sky and opening that side body. And we're just going to rock from side to side. So take your time, slowly lower. Use your core muscles here. And then take your time, slowly rise. And you can move as long as the breath is consistent. Doesn't really matter which way that you go. Do that a couple more times. And again, slower might be harder, but it's nice to challenge yourself and do your best to move skillfully here. One more round, deep breath. And when you find yourself back down on the ground, simply find hands and knees. Take a moment, maybe scooch the block over to the other side. You're going to plant the opposite hand slightly in front of the shoulder. Extend the opposite leg out long. The knee that you're kneeling on now becomes your kickstand with that foot behind you. And with the heel of the straight leg grounded, you're going to sweep the top arm up by your ear. Press the front of the hips forward. Take a moment to really feel that expansion from your pinky toe through the top pinky fingers. And again, you might just hold and breathe here, but if you want to play with coming up through that half kneeling position, you're going to slowly rise. Bottom arm can reach up by your ear. And take your time, slowly lower back to where you began. And perhaps do that a couple more rounds with your breath. Yeah, looking good. Nice. Another round, deep breaths in and long exhale. As you arrive on the earth, slowly return to hands and knees. We'll keep the blocks near the top of the mat, and I'll have you shift back into down dog. You can take child's pose at any point. And as you arrive in down dog, let's make sure the feet are about hip wide so your face fits between them. You're going to bend one knee, maybe straighten the other. And know that your heels do not have to touch here. Everyone's body is going to look different. You can shift forward to a push-up and back to your dog a few times. Maybe bend the knees a lot and let the spine kind of ripple forward. Couple breaths. Another thing you can play with here is a twist. There's a few variations. This time you might swivel both feet over to one side. So you're on the pinky edge of one foot, the arch of the other, and then simply lift and lower the hips maybe a couple of times. And then you can swivel on the feet all the way through to the other side. It is helpful to have the feet hip wide here. Option to bend and extend the legs. And maybe repeat that, your call. You need a break in down dog, you can totally tap the knees and come back into it. And maybe just take a moment in stillness in your down dog, bending your knees, pressing into the hands, lifting up through the tailbone. And as you inhale, we'll gaze forward and tiptoe the feet toward the hands. Find your forward fold with the knees bent a lot. Maybe the arms cross at your elbows. And the head can completely relax. You might even add a gentle sway here in the torso, allowing a little bit more traction through your spine. And if you've got blocks here, you're welcome to bring them back into play. You're going to stay in a forward fold and bring one block under your face. Let's go left hand on the block. Left knee bends a lot. And you're going to reach the right arm up toward the sky. So rather than have the block underneath you, give yourself space to lengthen your chest forward. Notice if you want to lock that leg out that you're turning toward, instead keep a little bend and press down through the base of your big toe. You might look up here. You can also bring that top hand, palm on the body, close to the base of your spine, and see if that can help encourage a little more rotation in the upper chest. One more deep breath. And then we'll switch sides. So top hand will ground down to the earth or the block. You're going to bend the knee generously on the side of the hand that's down. And then other arm reaches up, finding that space across your chest. And just a reminder, we're not locking out that leg that you're turning toward. You might bring that top hand to the very base of the spine and gently press the palm into the body as you open the chest even more. With your breath out, go ahead and refold. Blocks can stay nearby, and you're going to uncurl all the way to standing until the head is the last to rise. Go ahead with some shoulder circles, both directions. Let's take a nice deep breath in with the arms all the way up. As you breathe out, draw hands closer to your heart. That's at our half lift forward fold. Inhale, reach up. As you exhale, bend the knees, fold at the hips all the way down. Find your half lift. Hands might come onto your shins. And if you can feel the muscles along your spine active here, hands can stay low. If you're finding that a little difficult, it's helpful to bring the hands high to the thighs. And notice if your elbows want to butterfly out here, instead squeeze those elbows tighter to the body and see if you can recruit all those wonderful muscles along the back. Take another breath in, maybe float the chest just a little higher. And on your exhale, fold forward once again. Inhale to standing, press to your feet as you reach through your fingers. Exhale, hands to heart. One more time, deep breath in, reach it high. Exhale, bend the knees and fold. Find that halfway lift on your inhale, flatten the back, hands on either shins or thighs. Take another breath, lengthen through the top of the head and out the tip of the tail. And then exhale, refold. Inhale, back to standing, reach up, look up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Got our kneeling lunge next. Deep breath in, reach high. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. On the breath out, hands come down, step the right foot back and lower to that knee. Hands start on your front thigh. You're doing your best to stack your shoulders over your hips. If you're looking for a little more stable base, go ahead and broaden your base so front foot can open a little wider. And the hands are going to start on our hips. So notice if you can isolate the movement of your pelvis. And we're going to try to lift the front of your hip points up and curl your tailbone under. And you might do the opposite just to see what that feels like. So tilt the front of the hips down and stick your bum out. And you're doing your best not to tilt at the torso here, but just move your hips. And so go back and forth just a couple of times in your body. Notice how it feels to keep those hips lifting slightly. Doesn't have to be 10 out of 10 intensity, but maybe half that. You might find you get a little bit more opening in that front hip of the knee that's down. You can stay there and maybe sweep that back arm, same side as the back leg, up by your ear. Yeah, perhaps the front hand connects to the inside of the front knee and squeezes together. Nice full breath. And this time with an inhale, we're going to turn away from the front leg, take your arms wide, thumbs to the sky as you peek maybe toward the back hand. With an inhale, we're going to reach both arms up. And on the exhale, cactus the arms, open the chest. This time, inhale, reach it high. And as you exhale, we're going to turn the opposite way, arms out wide. Take another breath here. Next inhale, reach up, face forward. An option to cactus the arms once again. This time, inhale, reach it high. And as you exhale, let's bring that right hand down across from the front foot. And you can stay in a kneeling, twisted lunge. You might choose to tuck the back toes and straighten the back leg. Another option here is to have a block underneath that bottom hand to bring the earth closer to you. Couple of breaths. And then we'll exhale and release. You might come through hands and knees or direct to your downward facing dog. And just tune in, noticing the body, noticing one side, how it feels compared to the other. And then we'll breathe in, look forward, step the right foot forward, back knee down. So kneeling lunge, opposite side. Hands might begin on that front thigh. And again, might be broadening your base here for a little bit of a wider foundation. We'll bring hands to the hips to begin. And do your best to isolate that movement of your hips. So notice how it feels to drop the front hip point, stick the bum out, and then do the opposite. Tuck the tail, almost like you had suspenders on, pulling the front of those suspenders up. Go back and forth just a couple of times. And then see if you can keep that engagement in the hips with a slight lift in the front of the hips and tucking of your tail under the body. Maybe feeling more opening in the front of that back hip. You can reach the arm up by your ear. Maybe connect the front hand with the inside of the knee and squeeze them together. Slowing the breath down in and out the nose. And as you breathe in, you can turn away from the front leg, send your arms out wide. Maybe look toward the back thumb. And with an inhale, reach up, face forward, and then exhale, optionally cactus the arms, open the chest. This time we'll inhale, reach it high, and then exhale, swivel to the other side. So facing the front leg, arms stay wide. Another breath here. And then next inhale, reach up, face forward. Optionally take the elbows wide once again. Inhale, reach up. And then exhale, bring that left hand down across from the front foot. So again, you might use a block underneath that bottom hand, but you don't have to. You can keep that back knee grounded or lengthen through the back heel. Arms are spreading apart, maybe looking up toward the top hand. Another breath. And then we'll exhale and release back to downward dog, however you want to arrive. Moment there. And again, child's pose is an option. This is all about tuning in to what's going to serve you best. And that can change from one moment to the next. If you're ready, let's lift the right leg up and back. And here's where you can turn the front of the hips toward the long side of the mat. Your top leg might stay straight. You can always squeeze the heel closer to the body. And as you breathe in, look forward, step that foot through, spin the back heel down and find your warrior two. So we're going to lunge in toward the front knee. Arms are going to float over your ankles. We'll take a few lunges with that front leg. So option here to straighten the front knee, reach the arms high, and then exhale, come back to warrior two, bending the front knee. Keep it going. Inhale, reach. Exhale, lunge. Once again, inhale, reach high. And then exhale, rebend the front knee. Find your warrior two. Keep the legs here and reverse the arms. So right arm reaches up and away from the bent thigh. You might take your gaze toward the pinky toe edge of the back foot and maybe press down a little more firmly. And then we'll exhale to extended side angle. So forearm might rest on the front leg here. Top arm's going to sweep up by your ear and encourage the chest to rotate open. Just an option, if a block is within reach, you might place a block on the inside of the front foot, press down with the hand, squeeze the back of the arm into that bottom leg and use that as a little bit more leverage to rotate the chest away from the earth. Another breath. Use your inhale to rise all the way upright. We're going to straighten the front leg and maybe shorten your stride depending on how long it was to begin with. You can have a block on the inside of the front ankle. We're going to play with triangle pose. So front palm will flip up. As you breathe in, reach forward, hips shift back. And once you can't go anymore, you're going to bring your hands to 12 and 6 o'clock. So maybe hand is on a block. Maybe it's on your shin. Top arm is reaching up. And you might even gaze up as well. Couple breaths. Let's inhale to reverse triangle. So two straight legs, Reach the front arm up and back. And then exhale and cartwheel the arms all the way down to the ground, stepping the front foot back, maybe pausing in your plank. You totally have the option to tap the knees here as you lower down to the belly. Option for Sphinx pose or a different back bend. For Sphinx, we're going to have the elbows directly under your shoulders. You can start to press your forearms down. Wake up the muscles of the legs by pressing the tops of the feet down as well. And then find that kind of slithering sensation of sliding to the top of the mat, broadening the heart space, and those nice full breaths. As you breathe out, let's reset in downward facing dog. Couple breaths as you arrive. And just observe right side body, left side body, no judgment. We'll inhale and send the left leg up and back. Option for that leg to be straight as the hips open to the side edge of the mat or bending at your knee. With an inhale, look forward, step that foot through. Back heel spins down as you rise to warrior two. And then we'll add our lunges with that front leg. With a breath in, you can straighten the knee and reach high. And then exhale, return, warrior two. Couple more with your breath. Yeah, again, inhale, arms reach, legs extend. And then exhale back to warrior two. Keep the legs here and then maybe reverse the arms. So front arm lifts up and away from the bent knee. You might swivel the gaze toward that pinky toe side of the back foot and then start to press down. With an exhale, come toward the front thigh for extended side angle. Top arm can reach by the ear. You might stay here, and you can do this with or without a block. If you've got a block, you can place it on the inside of the ankle, maybe hand on the block. You can also simply press the bottom arm into the inside of the leg and use that to open the chest away from the earth. Just one more breath. Inhale, slowly rise up to standing. We're going to straighten the legs, maybe shorten your stride. And if you do have a block, you can place it on the inside of the ankle. You can always stack more than one block if you need to. We're going to turn the front palm up as you breathe in. Reach the arms forward, hips rock back. And then take the arms to 12 and 6 o'clock. And wherever you got to be able to press that bottom hand down and feel as though someone's pulling you up by that top hand. And again, hand might be on the shin if you don't have blocks available. You can also be floating here, activating the core. Another breath. Next inhale, we're going to rise to reverse triangle, two straight legs, bottom arm reaches up and back. And then exhale all the way down to the ground, maybe pausing in your push-up, finding that strength. Option to rock forward with or without the knees and start to lower down to the belly. Perhaps you find Sphinx pose once again. You can also take Cobra, Up Dog, any back bend that you choose. Let's activate all those muscles along the spine by energetically trying to pull the body forward using the arms and pressing the tops of the feet down into the earth. Just one more breath. Gently release and then press yourself to through kneeling, and I'll have you meet me on your back. So however you want to arrive, come all the way down to the ground. And if you have a block handy, you might keep it within reach. We're going to do just 2 rounds of bridge, one active and one supported. So if you want to start with a supported version, feel free. I'll walk you through the active version to begin. So feet are about hip width, knees pointing up. Hands can begin down by your sides and your head is going to be relaxed. When you're ready, press down through the feet. Go ahead and lift the back of the hips off the earth. Feel the back of your legs working here. So if you're not yet feeling those muscles at the back of the thighs, press your heels down and energetically feel like you're dragging the heels underneath your body in toward your bum. Couple breaths. You can also feel like you're energetically squeezing one of those blocks between your inner thighs. Do your best to keep the hips lifted without holding the breath. Let's take at least 3 slow, deep breaths in and out the nose. And if the hips start to lower, just give them a little bit of a push. You're doing great. One more deep breath. And then this time with an exhale, slowly lower one vertebrae at a time. And you can take a moment here in constructive rest with the feet wide and knees teepeed together. Maybe a hand on the heart, hand on the belly. And just feel the breath expand from the belly into the ribs and all the way into your chest. So some of you might choose to just stay here in constructive rest. That's a great choice. If you have a block and you want to take a supported bridge, you can do that as well. So for the supported option, you're going to press into the feet, lift the hips, and slide the block underneath the base of your spine. So I'm not on the low back, I'm closer to the tailbone. You have a couple of firm pillows that can work too. And you can also do this on the ground. So if you've got the block underneath you, that's great. If you want to take an active version of bridge, also great. And if you're in the supported version or the active version, you can slowly lift the right heel up toward the sky, flex the toes toward the nose, and really reach the heel up and away from the body. Couple breaths, maybe add some movement, pointing and flexing at the foot, rotating the ankle. And then we're going to lower that leg, take a moment at center, and then take it to the other side. So again, you can do this with the hips supported or active bridge. Toes flex toward the face, heel lengthens up toward the sky. Option for those ankle movements up and down or all the way around. And then if you are in active bridge, you're going to have to lower the hips for this one. But if you're in supported bridge, you can float both legs up toward the sky. You can take your arms a little wider for more support here. And you can just let the legs be heavy. You don't have to do anything but take a load off. One option, if you'd like to, is think about rotating your thighs in your hip joints. So that might look like rotating the heels away from one another and big toes a little closer. They don't have to touch. And then the opposite, rotating inner heels toward one another and big toes apart like a V. And maybe do that a few times. So I'm not twisting at the knees or the ankles, but simply rotating my thigh bones in the hip joints. And perhaps after a couple rounds, you just want to let the legs be soft and relaxed and take one more breath wherever you're at. And with the next exhale, you can start to slowly bend at the knees and let the feet come back to earth. If you'd like to keep the block underneath your body, you can. If you want to release it, go ahead. And if it feels good to you, maybe the feet stay on the ground or perhaps knees come closer to your chest. We're going to rock a little side to side. You might choose to draw circles with your knees a few times one way and perhaps the opposite. And then we're going to take the knees wide. Soles of the feet can lift to the sky for your happy baby. You might be grabbing the outer edges of your hamstrings here, pulling the knees down to earth while trying to stomp the feet on the ceiling. You might re-grip and grab the inside of the shins, maybe closer to your ankles. And if that feels good, go ahead and rock it out. Embody your happy baby. Maybe play around with some ninja baby, extending one leg, bending the other. And you're encouraged to get creative and playful here. There's no right or wrong. Do what feels good in your body for just one or two more breaths. And last bit of energy here is giving yourself a little love. So arms might wrap around the legs, forehead can come closer to the knees. Give yourself a squeeze, maybe scrunch the muscles of the face. And then relax and release. Here you can straighten the legs if you choose. Perhaps the feet start to open away from one another. Hands can also relax down by your sides with the palms facing up. And if another position is better for you in this moment, feel free to take it. Seated meditation is always an option. And you're invited to take one more deep breath in through the nose and let your exhale just wash over your entire body. And just feel the body surrender and let go a little further and further with each breath out. And I'll be quiet for these next couple moments and let you soak up the stillness. I'll alert you when it's time. And if you have the means, you are encouraged to remain horizontal a little longer. It's that time in the day to make some moves, take a deep belly breath, and maybe some movements in the wrists and ankles. Might take a full body stretch with the arms overhead. Extending, flexing the feet, deepening the breath. And if you'd like to bend your knees and roll to your favorite side, you have the option to pause there. And when you feel ready, you can start to press yourself to a seat. We'll take one more breath all together. Go ahead and empty all the air from the lungs. Take a breath in through the nose, maybe hands to your heart, and let your breath go. Thanks everyone for continuing to join me. I look forward to sharing this practice with you in a couple weeks. Namaste.